Understands how students grow and develop, recognizing that patterns of learning and development may vary individually within and across the cognitive, linguistic, social, emotional, and physical areas, and designs and implements developmentally appropriate and challenging a learning experience. So the top rubric is: candidate creates and implements the developmentally appropriate instruction that takes into account individual students' strengths and interests. The instructional strategies clearly reflect his or her understanding of how students construct knowledge, acquire skills, and develop disciplined thinking processes to promote student learning. Also, candidate designs and implements instruction to meet the cognitive, linguistic, social, emotional, and physical needs of the students in the class.
On average, I think that's probably true, but I think it's very difficult to do it individually. And that aspect I don't think was getting done, and it's really, really hard to get it done in this group because it's so varied in there.
It is. And it feels like, I mean, with the breaks, I mean, you're lucky. You have a nice room here, and the students, come and hang out. So that's almost where I feel like I get the best opportunity to sort of sit down with someone, and say, hey,
to connect.
Yeah. And the things that they do in the classroom, I mean, when any of these things don't go well, the result is sort of a disengaged student,
right,
or a frustrated student. And rather than coming down on them, hey, come on, you stay attention, you're a slacker, you're a bad person, kind of thing like that. Yeah. When I can kind of, after the class, because it's hard to do this in the middle of, you got 10 other people who are sitting there twiddling their thumbs, right, who are hanging on to start with, right? You go give a whole bunch of attention to someone who's almost actively disengaged, everyone's like, well, what am I here for?
Right.
That person's not even paying attention. Why are you giving them all the class, go onto their phones? But during the breaks, I can sit down with people, and like Mark, and have a little connection, and Antonio and Sylvia. I had a really nice chat with Sylvia during the break today.
Sylvia would love to do well.
Yeah, exactly.
And she knows she's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Right.
And so that colors her view of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, I think while I'm talking with the students, we try to have a lot of discussion, so I get clues and evidence, what people's engagement is, and sometimes someone can't answer because they weren't listening, for the last few minutes. But sometimes people say they're struggling with the concept,
right?
And that's a different thing. And it's sort of, okay, if there was one person like that, there's probably a couple of others.
I think if you start with the assumption that they're struggling with the concept, then if they aren't paying attention, you can, they'll feel like, oh, okay, I get it now. I like Gabby and Fernanda. Gabby sort of steps up. Yes,
she knows she doesn't want this to completely slip. And
Fernanda doesn't care.
Fernanda will.
But she'll follow Gabby. So
if
you can get Gabby going, Fernanda will follow.
Yeah. So they got that stuff, and without shaming them for being a step behind, they say, well, come around up here, we'll help you get the stuff, and make it so that it's good. And I always like them to do sometimes some of them came and say, I can't get this to work, and so I would sort of try real hard but not do that. And then Gabby at the end, she was sort of a couple steps behind. They said, well, here, let's make this good for you, so it's not everyone's staring at you kind of a moment, so that it's the trade-off. What good feeling are you going to give them to say, I want you to feel supported.
The connection is most important, I think. So until you have that connection, you kind of have to give a little bit more.
Well, what do you think is wrong with the two? You get all Socratic on it or something. Everyone's looking at me and I'm embarrassed because I'm the only one, behind everything. It's all right. Let's make this good, Yeah. So another thing, kind of the emotional needs, so they're not made to feel bad, so they feel safe and comfortable in the class.
Absolutely.
I feel I'm aware of that. I mean, I always want to do better. I mean, I think that, so yesterday, had a lot of distracted behavior. I mean, people weren't like maliciously going, but they would just go into the thing and chat. They were being disrespectful because it was the students.
Yeah.
And while I agree, I spent too much time being very kind and gentle, and patient with them. I think I still could have got the result I got today if I was more efficient yesterday. But by not barking at them yesterday, we got the result today.
Right.
I mean, because everybody came in, there was no animosity
bark
to
at
it.
it.
Right. So not barking is good, but being more efficient, about what I'm doing, and call Mr. Sharma. That wouldn't have spoiled things. That would have helped yesterday too.
Probably.
It still would have been good today.
And what you can do is balance.
Yeah, right. But I did yesterday after class, for most of those guys that were being so distracted, I did get to chat with them during the break and at lunch, and get a little bit of, like I was talking with Johnny, and he said, hey, it was just too much, and I said, and I know you're a smart guy and you can get all this, but you need to, be able to watch and everything like that. And you were dragging him down by listening to him. Because he was like, oh, I wouldn't even say anything. I would just say, but by listening, he was talking. If you hadn't been listening, he wouldn't have been talking, and he would have been, a little more engaged. And it wasn't a sour conversation, so there wasn't any pullback. So today, he was a lot more engaged, than it was in the lab last time also, and he's asking a question here and there, so
Labs
just kind of warms up.
things.
Yeah. All right, so the second standard is learning differences. The candidate uses understanding of individual differences, diverse culture, and communities to ensure inclusive learning environments that enable each student to meet high standards. And the rubric for this is candidate values students and promotes positive and respectful interaction among students to help them learn to respect each other. Well, probably fits with some of the things we were just talking about.
One thing I try to do is somebody's having trouble with something, I'll try not to tell them myself. I'll get another student to tell them. Because when they succeed in telling them, they know stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
And the other one,
I've often, I would even say, even though I love that approach and I wanted to tap into as much of it, I've been surprised at frequency where people are like, no, I don't want to talk to that other person. And I have no, and it, like the first time that happened, I was just surprised because students.
it's pretty common.
And as I said, it was really common. And then I realized, okay, I have no idea what social situation or what neighborhood you're from or anything, or who dated whose sister.
And they don't either.
Yeah, right.
They're
So
afraid of getting in a bad situation.
Yeah, right. So I just detected some reluctance, and I always respect. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of respect in the classroom to be harvested, and I try to tap into that respect, both for the discipline, and also when people give answers and someone has an incomplete answer, that okay, but you're there, right? I mean, you've lifted us up, with your little half answer. I said, what's diabetes? And nobody knows what diabetes is, but is it a food or is it a car? Oh, it's a disease. Okay, we're up a little bit. And then someone else who knew that it was a disease and knows a little bit more than that, but was shy about that, they're like, oh, it's a bad disease. I think my grandpa has it. They don't know exactly what it is. All right, so the third standard we're trying to touch on this week is learning environments. So the candidate works with others to create environments that support individual and collaborative learning and that encourage positive social interactions, active engagement, learning, and self-motivation.
I think you do pretty well with that one.
Okay, good.
I think you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely encouraging people to engage, to participate, and you're supporting people. If they don't know things, you help them out. You don't get mad at them.
Yeah, right.
You're going out of the box a little bit to talk to them at lunch and at the break, because this is where they congregate. It's a convenient thing.
Yeah.
And all that added together, I think that's pretty good.
Good. And I wish I was better. I'm not at names, but I kind of just push myself into names, because if I don't know someone's name and it's, oh, I bet this guy's got something, I'm a little less likely to call on them, you know, whether they need to be called on for a couple of different reasons. So I want to be able to, you know, call everybody by name. So it's important to me. I always try to pay attention to that.
As a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to use a name a couple of times before it really sticks in my head. So I can recognize it. It all helps the attendance and passing out, but calling on each student a couple times each class, you know, that's
you know, you
seems to work.
start with the attendance and the.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of students, I get a sense that they have their educational experience has been sitting in the back of the classroom being ignored.
Maybe.
And so when I call on them by name, I get a little bit of a body language sense that's a unique experience for them. You know, they're not used to being called out, especially when it's in a constructive kind of a way. You know, they're not just being, put that phone down for the 9th time, you know, but actually, you know, what's an example of diffusion, you know, kind of a thing? Okay, good. Well, I think it kind of wraps up the learning environment. Yeah, calling people by name, and also they become a real person. So I know how to body language the question a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great thing. Kind of start off with. So.
Yeah, as you learn things about them, like someone may be really tall.
Yeah, right.
Somebody may be
Skateboards, right.
skateboards.
Yeah.
So they're trying to start off a conversation.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was do a segue into the
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah, some little warm up, opening comment. The person who's sort of. Yeah, right. Listening.
Hey, Walter.
More.
How you doing?
That's good.
You want the ball?
I pupper ready, yeah.
Riker's gonna get the ball.
You don't have very much time.
Huh?
You don't have very much time. Class starts in 3 minutes.
All right. Well, I think that gets us to here. So far, so good.